What's up, guys? It's another week of NFL action with Island Fantasy Views, powered by the Black Swan Podcast. That's THABLACKSWAAN. You can find us on all social media. You can also find islandfantasyviews.com on its own website for our written content. Don't forget to check us out. And let's just jump right into it. NFL Week 5 action. First up, we have the Colts and the Ravens with the overtime thriller on Monday Night Football. The Colts being defeated by the Ravens in the third quarter, 25-31. Lamar Jackson had himself a game in the fourth quarter. Like I said, the Colts couldn't pull it out. Wentz, he finished with 402 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor, the running back, only had 53 yards rushing and a touchdown, but he had 3 receptions for 116 yards and a receiving touchdown. But like I said, it wasn't enough to overcome Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown, and Mark Andrews in the fourth quarter, pretty much putting the Ravens offense on their back. And shout out Calais Campbell, definitely came up big time with 2 huge defensive plays towards the end there, and the Colts kickers couldn't really bring them back in the game, and the Ravens went on to win it with the overtime go-ahead touchdown. Like I said, Colts and Ravens, Monday Night Thriller. Next up, the Cowboys and the Giants. A lot of injuries in fantasy this week. Definitely the New York Football Giants. They're not feeling what's going on with their team. Their star quarterback, Daniel Jones, is in the concussion protocol. Had himself a nasty blow on the field. Wasn't able to finish. We also had injuries to Saquon Barkley and Kenny Golladay. New York Giants are in a lot of trouble right now, and they had Mike Glennon, who honestly didn't really look too bad. He came in, did what he could. I'm a Mike Glennon fan, so this is a bit biased, but the Dallas Cowboys overcame them. Dak Prescott had himself a game, 300 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and an interception. Ezekiel Elliott proving again another week in a row he's a running back one. Don't you ever forget it. Over 100 yards rushing again and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper definitely did their things. Had some yards and some touchdowns. Like I said, Daniel Jones couldn't finish the game, but Mike Glennon had 196 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But hey, you know what can a guy do when he's rushed into action like that? You're definitely going to want to keep a lookout on the waiver wire for Booker. He's the running back replacement coming in for Saquon Barkley. He had himself a touchdown, 42 yards, 16 yards receiving, and a touchdown as well. So he's definitely going to be the hot waiver wire pickup this week. But that's the Cowboys 44, Giants 20. Not looking good for the New York Giants right now. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers routing the Miami Dolphins 45-17. Tom Brady had himself another day over 400 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Leonard Fournette had 67 yards and a touchdown. Antonio Brown and Mike Evans both over 100 yards receiving, both with 2 touchdowns, carrying that Buccaneers offense. Like I said, the Dolphins didn't have enough. Jacoby Brissett didn't really do anything. 2 touchdowns and interception. Myles Gaskin really didn't do anything. They had to go without Devontae Parker, who was out this week, couldn't take the field, so maybe that might have impacted it. But honestly, did we really expect anything else out of Tom Terrific? My beloved Eagles overcoming the Carolina Panthers in the fourth quarter. To be honest with you guys, I turned off the game in the third quarter. I had absolutely zero faith. Like I was saying, I don't really believe in Hurts. I'm not the biggest fan that he's my quarterback. He continues to make extremely questionable decisions. I don't know if to blame him or to blame Nick Sirianni for putting him in those positions, but this is not an Eagles blog rant. It's none of that. Just want to shout out the Eagles for coming over the Carolina Panthers. Sam Darnold, 177 yards, a passing touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Shout out my Eagles defense. Definitely want to look out for them on the waiver wire. I didn't have that faith that I thought I should have in this week, but you know, I honestly thought that we couldn't have beat the Panthers, but we did. You know, go Eagles, whatever. Yeah, woo. Another epic showdown, the Chargers and the Browns. What a game that was Sunday afternoon. The Chargers 47, the Browns 42. Baker Mayfield and crew just didn't have enough to overcome Josh Herbert and the Chargers. Mike Williams had himself a day. Herbert almost 400 yards, 398 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. He had a rushing touchdown as well. Austin Eckler had himself a day, 66 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. He also had about 50-some yards receiving and a touchdown. Mike Williams, like I said, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Chargers looked unstoppable at times, and so did the Browns. Honestly, they had an amazing fourth quarter back-to-back. Everybody's going for it on fourth down, and some people get pushed or pull into the end zone. Some people say they scored a touchdown. Who knows? At the end of the day, the Chargers won. But let's just go over the Browns stats right quick. Nick Chubb, he had himself a day. I love to see that he's been unleashed in that backfield. 161 yards rushing and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt also had 2 touchdowns for the Browns. Like I said, just wasn't enough. I just want to point out too, how come Baker Mayfield can't get on the same page as Sparkly Gloves, my man OBJ? Is there a conspiracy brewing in Cleveland? Let's talk about it. OBJ has been back for the Browns, and it's another disappointing week. He had 2 receptions and who knows how many yards, but let's keep a lookout for why Baker Mayfield can't get on the same page as OBJ. But shout out David Njoku, who is a tight end for the Browns. I didn't want to not talk about him. He had himself a good game. He's coming back, so shout them out. But like I said, the Chargers overcame the Browns. Y'all know how I feel about the conspiracy of Josh Herbert, but hey, he's getting the job done in LA for the Chargers. The Buffalo Bills taking care of business against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday. The Bills won over them 38-20. Patrick Mahomes and company just couldn't overcome that Bills defense. Want to shout out Patrick Mahomes, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Like I said, that Bills defense is no slunk. Shout out Pringle, the wide receiver. He only had a couple of yards, but he had a touchdown for them. Travis Kelce also had himself a touchdown. He's still in TE1 category. But Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, 315 yards passing, 3 touchdowns passing, and a rushing touchdown. Also had 59 yards rushing. Dawson Knox, have been shouting him out for weeks. He's definitely creeped up into tight and one category for the Bills. Looks to be a favorite target of Josh Allen. He had 117 yards and a touchdown. And Emmanuel Sanders, who's called that name in a while, 2 touchdowns, only 54 yards, but he definitely put up some points for the Bills, who overcame the Chiefs, like I said, 38-20, taking care of business. 4-1 for the Bills, and they're looking good.
Island Fantasy Viewers, shout out Island Fantasy Viewers. We got a lot to talk about. I'm not going to curse because I understand I'm on somebody else's platform right now, so I'm going to talk on a more respectful manner. But we got to talk about John Gruden. Spooty's been talking about John Gruden for the past couple of years, but we've been allowing it. We've been saying, you know what it is. He's a great football coach. He's done so much for the football league, and we have allowed it. But now the emails came out. And let me tell you this. These are emails that have been out from 7 years to 10-year emails. He has disrespected every people group you could name. The gays, he disrespected. The blacks, he disrespected. He disrespected the white people, his bosses, the owners. Robert Goodell, called Robert Goodell, Roger Goodell. I'm not gonna say the word he called him. I can't even say that because that's not even the type of person I am. That's how crazy this is. But you know what's weird to me? It seems like they had an investigation going on for a while. It seems like the Raiders gave this man a whole... You all remember when they was doing like, yo, he about to get this big 10-year contract to sign to this new stadium. Y'all remember that situation? Seems like this investigation been going on around the same time. But no one cared. Why y'all care now? So you could talk about blacks, you could talk about gays, you could talk about the commissioners and all of that, but transgenders, what happened now that you want to talk about it? I don't even know, but it's disgusting. It's sad. It's hurtful. Guys, that irked me to my soul. I've had friends telling me that John Gruden was a racist, and I didn't want to believe it because I loved his football acumen. But if his football acumen is what we've been reading and seeing, I'm disgusted because I like that. But if this is what he's been doing in all those years, no one said nothing, no one's done nothing, that means like, yo, Black people ain't raised nowhere. Black people ain't growing nowhere. We're still in the same place. And that's why I ask, like, why is today the reason to talk about it? Because he's been doing this for almost 10 years. I'm sorry to take over my boy show. I'm sorry to take over my boy blog. I have fancy viewers. But our viewers ain't positive right now. They negative right now. Jon Gruden, anybody that supports that, don't watch this. And I'm going to say that. We good with saying that over there? We good? Anybody that supports anything Jon Gruden supports, don't watch this. Because that ain't what we about around here. Anyway, we're going to get back to regular scheduled programming.
NFL Week 6 action, previewing some games, kicking it off with Thursday Night Football. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and my Philadelphia Eagles. Tom Terrific is going to see if he can handle my Eagles. I think he can. You guys know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. I'm not really a believer this year, but I definitely want to see if Miles Sanders is finally going to get released from the doghouse. Nick Sirianni, what are you doing? This isn't the Eagles blog rant, but definitely want to check out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football. The Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars kicking things off early on Sunday morning. They're going to be playing across the pond. Kickoff time is 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Definitely going to want to keep an eye out on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've kind of had my eye on him for a couple of weeks. I've been trying to see what he's going to get up to. But the Miami Dolphins taking a trip across the pond. Jacoby Brissett still should be their number one quarterback. Who knows how they're going to handle their injuries? Who knows if Devontae Parker is going to be back? But yeah, Sunday morning early, bright and early, the Miami Dolphins and the Jaguars. One of the hottest 1 o'clock games on Sunday is going to be the Chargers and the Ravens, in my opinion. Two very high-powered offenses. We just saw what Lamar Jackson had to do on Monday Night Football. The LA Chargers, you definitely know Josh Herbert and crew are going to show up, and they are going to do what they need to do to ensure that they put the points on the board. Don't want to miss it. 1 o'clock Sunday, that's the Chargers and the Ravens. 4 o'clock, you're going to want to check out the undefeated Arizona Cardinals. They're going to be taking on Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns in Arizona. I really want to see how Baker Mayfield is going to stand up against a top defense in Arizona. They're kind of inconsistent from week to week, but overall a great defense and a great test for Baker Mayfield. Who knows if he's going to finally have a connection with Odell Beckham Jr. They haven't been on the same page since he's gotten back, but Nick Chubb has definitely been unleashing that backfield. Let's see how he's going to hold up against that Cardinals defense. But I think that Kyler Murray and all of his weapons are offense. They're going to need to do more than they did last week if they want to beat a team like the Browns. But that defense is probably going to bail them out, so definitely want to keep an eye out for that. 4 o'clock on Sunday, the Cardinals and the Browns. Also at about 4:30, the Raiders and the Broncos going to be an AFC West showdown. Both teams are going to try and figure out who's going to come away with second place. And we definitely want to see how the Raiders as a team are going to respond after the news of Jon Gruden resigning due to racism, homophobia, misogyny, and every other orgyny and obia there is to name. That guy's been disgusting. I've said it for years. But definitely going to want to see how that team plays out. I think the Broncos are in a position to move up a little in that division. They've been having some problems, but the Raiders are still a good team, in my opinion. Let's see how it all plays out. And don't forget, bye week start this week. You have 4 teams on bye: the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, and the San Francisco 49ers. Not all of those teams have a bunch of big names, but I know you guys in those 12, 14, 16-man leagues, you definitely use all the players you can. Definitely going to want to keep an eye out for your waiver wires and make sure your lineups are set. You don't want players on buys in your lineup messing up things. And, good luck out there.